Welcome to Gaming Vibes on a Sunday. I'm Troy, and this is LTR Gaming. I wonder how all the gamers out there doing on this particular Sunday. I'm chilling myself. Probably going to finish up The Last of Us Remastered today. You guys, if you don't know, now you know. I'm in trophy hunting on that particular game. The particular trophy I'm attempting to obtain in The Last of Us Remastered is the trophy that you receive once you fully upgrade all of your weapons in The Last of Us. So that's the particular trophy that I'm hunting right now, due to the fact that there's no real new PS5 games that are tickling my fancy right now, to be quite honest. Either they're multi-plat games that are coming out, or the one and few games that are exclusive to the PS5 are not games that I'm looking forward to. And that's just me, right? I can't really complain about that. I'm more of a single-player guy, not really too into the multiplayer scene, but, I dibble and dabble into it. But, I'm still waiting. But, a lot of news to talk about. Horizon Forbidden West is going to be able to be played on the PS4, apparently. I thought it was going to be a PS5 exclusive game. They added some new graphic fidelity to it from the recent reveal and gameplay that we saw. You can now swim underwater, so that brings a completely new, different kind of environment to the actual experience. Now, I wonder if it's just small sections of the game that will allow you to have underwater combat and exploration, or is this like throughout the entire map of this world where you can actually completely transverse large portions of the map underwater. Who knows? Maybe there's some kind of underwater vehicle that you may be able to obtain. I don't know. I'm just assuming from what's been revealed and what's been seen, and that's to be determined. But a lot of gamers like myself are a bit surprised and a bit taken back, because Sony has been leaning on the fact that they felt prior to the launch of the PS5 that they were going to be moving in this generational way of releasing games and supporting systems. I solely thought that once the PS5 came out, of course, there's a large fan base and gamers that still have PS4s. They were going to support that console up to a year, maybe two, and then phase it out. They weren't going to put any new content, especially any new games, that were going to be available to be played on the PS5, also on the PS4. I thought that they were going to, actually make gamers have to buy the new hardware, the new horsepower, the new shiny thing. And that's normally what happens. And I was expecting to do that. I'm more than willing to adopt to that strategy and form of thinking, in which I did. And it seems now Sony is back biting on that, and they're not going to be leaning on that particular way of running their business. And I'm a bit disappointed, because I feel like I've been bamboozled. I feel like I've been lied to, because let's call it what it is, guys. The longer they support the PS4, the more of a bottleneck experience we're going to have with the PS5. Because the PS4 is going to hold back developers from really pushing the full potential of the PS5. And I get it. The rebuttal to that is, well, look, Troy, we're going into year 2 of the PS5. There hasn't been any real exclusive games that you really needed to have to play on the PS5. So therefore, up until this particular point, it's okay that the games that that's going to be coming out in the very near future are going to be backwards compatible. But my thing is, well, if that's going to be the case in the norm going forward in the near future, why did they release the PS5 in the first place? I think the time was horrible to release that console. They could have waited 2 years. If the PS4 Pro is still prevalent and able to run a Horizon Forbidden West game, and it looks maybe just as good as a PS5 version, then what are we doing here, right? Did Sony really just put this console out just to for a cash grab. I mean, I get it, right? Microsoft is like a behemoth when it comes to resources. It seems like they have an unlimited amount of money. They've been buying a ton of studios. And we know that financially they can't compete with Microsoft. So I'm starting to think that the shortages of the PS5 and the fact that these consoles are just not able to be brought at your local Target, Walmart, retail store, was this all a strategy to get gamers to go out there and buy this console and make a limited quantity of these consoles on purpose? Because we've been blaming the bots, we've been blaming, scalpers who are reselling these consoles for twice the actual worth of the console. Listen, I conformed. And I admitted that in other videos in the past that I had to go through a scalper to actually get a PS5 and the Xbox Series X. It was just damn near impossible to buy one online. And I don't give a damn. I'm not, I had some jerk come on my channel and leave a comment in my comment box talking about it's people like me that, they despise, and because I was actually supporting the scalpers. I'm not supporting the scalpers. I'm supporting my goddamn hobby. This is my life. This is my experience. This is my joy. And if it brings me joy to buy a console and I may have to go through another means of the normal route of getting that console, then I have the right to do it, especially if it's my money I'm spending. I think the absurdity of people that they think that they can dictate and they can rent space in your mind about how you spend your hard-earned money and what makes them upset, and because what makes them upset should make you upset. I don't think folks understand that that's not the way the real world works. So whether I bought a console from a scalper for $200 more than what the console was worth, or whether I decided to wait until them shits became available next year in 2022, that's my prerogative. That's my right. You see what I'm saying? I don't get folks. Like when I went and bought my Hellcat, do people got a problem with me buying my Hellcat even though I got a Dodge truck too? Like I don't get why people feel like their opinion matters so much to people that don't know them. Like I just bought a rifle this year too, even though I had a rifle, a different kind of rifle than I bought this year too. Does that bother you too? I think people need to understand you need to concentrate on your life and living your best life and doing what makes you happy, and not concentrating so much on what other people are doing. And what you can't do doesn't mean that other people can't. You understand what I'm saying? And I don't want to sound like a pompous asshole, but people really need to understand and stay in a lane. Live within your wages of means. You see what I'm saying? And I don't say that to try to put anybody down or to make anybody feel indifferent about their life or their circumstance. But don't come for people that didn't ask you to come for them. Don't speak on things that you don't really have no understanding on what you're speaking on. Stay in your lane, in so many words. But yeah, so I fundamentally feel that these consoles could have waited another 2 to 3 years. I personally believe, because listen, I've played The Last of Us 2 on my PS4 Pro, and I thought that game was a beautiful looking game. I thought that game was graphically one of the best looking games that I've ever seen. The story was good too as well. I understand the story pissed some people off and they didn't like the whole way that Joel died and everything of that nature, and Abby and things of that nature. I totally get it. And for gamers that had an issue with that, you have the right to gripe about that. But that console still had more than enough life left in it. And I kind of wish Sony would have supported it. Now, they're still supporting it, but you have a new console alongside of the PS4 Pro that's out right now. And that's called the PS5. And this is supposed to be the console going forward for the next, 5 or 6 years that we're supposed to hold on to. And that's supposed to be the behemoth far as the console to rule them all. My thing is, it's quite interesting because the roles seem to be reversing. Last gen, Microsoft was the platform that didn't have the games, that didn't have the exclusives, that didn't have the games that people were looking forward to. They had a bunch of multiplats that came to both consoles, but they didn't have those single-player experiences or those games that put them over the top. And I get that it's early in the PS5's life cycle. It's early. We haven't even really gone into year 2 yet. But as we approach year 2, year 3, we need to start seeing games come out, because Microsoft, while they're acquiring studios, best believe those studios are creating games and new experiences, and they are coming. They have a ton of games that are coming out that are blockbusters and that are exclusive to their console. And I think this might be the generation where Microsoft tips their hat at Sony and says, see you later, buddy. We're going to run away with this. And I'm fine with that because I have both consoles. So I'm going to be able to experience what Microsoft is doing and see if it's going to work in their favor and push them to the head of the line. But I think Sony needs to be very careful because, listen, if it ain't Game Pass is kicking your ass, it's the studios that Microsoft is buying. It's the games that's going to be coming out that Microsoft got coming down the pipeline. And I'm still wondering what the hell we're going to be getting from Sony other than Forbidden West, God of War. Like, what are those? And E3 is right around the corner. I get it. There might be some new IPs, likely than not, that's going to be announced that we didn't see coming. And that's great. But Sony needs to kick the butt in gear and get going. They have to. No more excuses. In my particular state, in Massachusetts, the mask mandate has been uplifted. Stores are back to, and businesses are back to operating at 100% capacity. And this is just the direction and the nature that we're going in as a nation. So all across this nation, we're getting back some normalcy to some degree. And you're not going to be able to use that excuse that we're going through that pandemic anymore. People are going to have to start kicking their butt in high gear and start producing these games. And I don't think consumers at this point in time are trying to hear that, hey, it's going to take 6-7 years to create one game. Nah, man. I think they're going to have to start putting out something or showing and telling something to really get people to really start respecting what they got going on. Also, gamers, y'all need to chill. And when I mean by y'all need to chill, y'all really need to fall back. And I'm going to tell you why you need to fall back. Because y'all going too far. A lot of you guys are on the internet. Y'all saying things that you wouldn't say to people in real life. You're doing things and saying things to people that are just disparaging and disrespectful. Especially the things that are being said to women in the gaming industry. It's just absurd. And I think as a man, when we see other men doing things and saying things that are just beneath men and beneath women, we need to call them out. We need to ostracize them. They need not to be in our communities. Women need to be able to be respected and have a safe place in gaming at all times. Now, I'm not saying that there's not women that come online, that exploit their sexuality, that set up their Twitter channel or their Twitch channel and they half naked showing titty and ass. I get it. I can't stand them. I wish they banned them all. All women that decide to do that, there's OnlyFans for that. I shouldn't have to go on Twitch and see a woman in a goddamn blow-up swimming pool with a bathing suit on trying to play Call of Duty. No, you're not trying to play Call of Duty. You're trying to get likes, donations, and attention. And you know that men are horny as hell. Most of us can't keep our dick in our pants most of the time. You're going to get the viewers that you want. And I think that the gaming culture and the gaming community just don't respect that. But at the same time, going on the internet, telling people you wish that they get raped, this was the kind of DMs that was left in Alana Pierce's DMs recently due to the fact that God of War 2, I'm going to call it God of War 2 because it still doesn't have a title name yet. Because it's been delayed, that's what some idiot decided to do. And I think that idiot need to be outed. And I think people need to chill. Like, why would you tell somebody or feel that somebody needs to be raped due to the fact that a game is delayed? At the end of the day, it's just a game, dog. It's a game. Why are you taking it that serious to the point where you're telling somebody they need to be raped, gang raped? By your Twitch followers? Who would wish that on somebody like that? That's a sick individual. You need to find another hobby to get into, because clearly the gaming industry or the gaming hobby that you're partaking in is taking you to a cliff that you're willing to look down and possibly jump off of. And that's not what we need in our community. And somebody needs to speak up and call that shit out, because it's not cool. It's very disrespectful. You don't go in somebody's DM box and tell them some shit like that because a video game has been delayed. You don't know the reason why the video game's been delayed. She's not in charge of delaying the video game. She's no CEO. She's not no program director. Like, folks need to really stop with this bullshit. But I get it. It's a lot of these cats that grew up on Twitter, these Gen Z cats that think everything is funny, everything is cute, and I can say whatever I want to complete strangers. But best believe it or not, you won't say the things that you say online to people in their face, because you know the repercussions that come along with it. And I just think it's sad and pathetic that folks that do that kind of shit. I mean, listen, I could see if, like, you pre-ordered this game and it was set to come out a month from now, and they're like, hey, look, the game's coming out 2 years from now. I would be pissed. But I still wouldn't go to the degree that a lot of these guys are willing to go to. Willing to call a woman that you don't know out her name. Willing to wish a violent act of rape on her by her Twitch followers. People who support her channel. People who love the content that she creates. I think it comes from just hate. A lot of people hate Alanah Pearce in the gaming industry due to the fact that she's not American. She comes from Australia, and she was able to level up so quickly and so effortlessly, it may seem to the public. And a lot of people envy her. A lot of people wish that they were her. A lot of people wish that they were given the opportunity that she was given. And I understand that. But this isn't the way that you go about it. Hell no. I was listening to Young Yeah yesterday evening, and he basically was letting his followers know that he's going to be unlisting his Cyberpunk 2077 review because he felt like he went too light, or he didn't thoroughly give a proper review like he would have given any other type of company or game that was releasing a new IP. And I kind of find that quite interesting, because now all of a sudden now he decides to speak up on this particular matter. Well, you already made your money from making that review. You already got your review copy from CD Projekt Red, and now you're coming back because now people are calling you out on it now, because they're like, dude, there's no way in hell you could have received that review copy and the game was in the state that it was in, and you not mention any of the things that you should have been mentioning in that game that everybody else experienced. So I think he's trying to just cover his bases and cover his ass and come out, looking as if, he's reflective on, what he did wrong, and that he's not going to do it again. Basically an apology for the apologist. And I just don't buy it. I just don't buy it. And it's the same thing with IGN. It seems like IGN just wants, every PlayStation exclusive to be on the PC. So then if all the PlayStation exclusives is not going to be on the PC, then what's the point of having them on the PlayStation as exclusives? Just call it a multiplat. And I never understood IGN for promoting that. Like, they literally have two particular podcasts. They have Podcast Unlocked and they have Podcast Beyond. One for PlayStation, one for Xbox. And I never hear, anybody on Xbox saying, yo, this Microsoft game is so good, they ought to allow PlayStation, players to be able to play it. But you constantly keep hearing PlayStation guys on a PlayStation Xbox promote PlayStation games to be played on the Xbox and on the PC platform. It's one of the most absurd things. And then when gamers like myself say, "Nah, well, that's an exclusive. It should always remain on the Sony platform." Well, the game has already done all it can do. Why not give other people the experience? Well, if other people want the experience, that's the whole point of making the game exclusive. Buy into the console, buy into the hardware, buy into the ecosystem. But if we're going to make every PlayStation game or the majority of PlayStation games a multi-plat, then I don't see the point of Sony even being an independent gaming console at some point. Why don't they just have Microsoft buy Sony gaming entertainment, and then you can just own all their IPs? If we're going to just accept and expect every PlayStation game that's a major title, or you know what I mean, to be a game that's able to be played on PC, like PC games should be regulated for PC games. You know what I mean? Like you already know whatever's on Microsoft console is going to be on PC at some point in time because they're pretty much one of the same. But I think for the Sony fans, for the Sony console players who only exclusively play on Sony, I think they have a right to grieve. I think they have a right to have an issue with this. Like for so long, we've been talking about the brands and the consoles and the exclusive and what games are known for what game consoles and things of that nature. And now all of a sudden now we got Horizon Zero Dawn is available to be played on the PC. Days Gone is able to be played on the PC. You know what I mean? And Death Stranding, even though that's a deal with Hideo Kojima that Sony did, that's on the PC. I understand that. But at the end of the day, I didn't buy a PS5 to play multi-plat games. I want to play the single-player stories that Sony is known for making with their studios that are in-house. And the only way you're able to experience them is through buying into the Sony ecosystem. I don't see what's wrong with promoting that. I don't see why Sony doesn't promote that more often than not. You've been telling us you believe in generations. Now you're just giving your games away to the competition. But what are you gaining in return? It starts to make me think, is this the beginning of the end for Sony? Because you don't see no goddamn Mario on no Xbox. You don't see no goddamn Mario on no Microsoft platform. So let's stop playing here. Nintendo guards their IPs. Nintendo guards their exclusives. They do that on purpose, and then they don't even discount their shits most of the time. Nintendo will have a game that came out 10 years ago still selling for $59.99, and they won't blink. That shit will never change. I mean, you'll probably get, like, during Christmas, you probably get, like, a 15% discount on it. But it's the same thing with their consoles. Like, they do not lower the prices of their consoles unless it's holiday season. And even sometimes in holiday season, they're kind of reluctant at doing that, but they understand their worth and they value their IPs. And I'm starting to wonder, is Sony starting to not value their IPs? That's a big concern of mine. And I wonder if it's a big concern of gamers. Like, do they even care at the end of the day? Once again, it's very, very frightening to know that this is the direction that the gaming industry possibly could be going in. And I'm damn right afraid of that. That's just my personal opinion about that. But also, like I said, man, you had Mass Effect come out again. They did like a remake of that. At one point in time, IGN was like, E3 is over. Now they support E3 again. It's like these guys can't make their mind up. So if you're not going to make your mind up and you're going to, pretty much go with whatever direction the wind is blowing in, it seems like that's the direction that, a lot of Microsoft is going in, then how do you expect people to hold you accountable? That's just my personal opinion. But I'm hoping that this year, E3, we see some exclusive or some games that are coming in the very near future. We don't need to see nothing out that's like 2, 3, 4 years out and then get hyped for it. Nah, that's not good. That's not good at all. But then again, that's just my personal opinion about it. I don't see how that changes though. I'm still feeling like PlayStation needs exclusives. They need their exclusives. And I just hope that they're not going to go away with the way they've been doing things. But what's crazy is that the PS4 has recently outsold the PS5 in the UK. But then again, of course, the PS4 has been out for over 5 years now, and the PS5 has been out pretty much close to a year now at this point. So we got to expect that. But again, things are going to have to change. What the hell is going on with Boogie 2988, man? He was arrested recently in Washington County for apparently he was, accosted at his home, and someone came to his home and he was at his front door brandishing a gun that belonged to, I believe, his roommate, and he shot the gun up in the air. And you can't do that. That's a no-no. That's a threat. And he was recently arrested and held. And, he's recently come out and did an apology. But, he always does it the way Boogie does it. He tells you the half-truth. And then when he tells you, well, I'm doing this, I'm going to tell you what actually happened. And in all reality, he doesn't tell you what actually happened. And then he comes out and tell you, well, my lawyer told me not to tell you, not to say anything. But then my point would be to him is then why come out and say anything in the first place? We don't know what's going on with Boogie. But then again, he's been dealing with some psychiatric issues, and depression and things like that over the years. And I understand it's not easy. But, bro, just stay off the internet for a while, man. That's what I would do. I'm sure you made enough money at this point in time just to take a couple of weeks off and get your faculties together. But, I mean, it just seems like whenever Boogie's into something, it's just always something. And I don't know if it's just attention-seeking or if he's a narcissistic individual. But when I watch his videos, it just don't seem like he's very authentic like that. But then again, that's just my personal opinion. That's just how I feel about it. But that PS5 redesign is coming sooner than y'all think, y'all. Because, like I said, you can't get a PS5 anywhere. So what they're going to do is they're going to create a PS5 with, I'm not going to say inferior hardware, but hardware that they actually have readily available that they can pull and get out this console. And my only concern is, okay, cool, it might look different, and you can label it a PS5, but is it going to run without any issues? Is it going to have, bottleneck issues because now you're not using the same kind of hardware that you used in the original launch PS5? And then not only that, if you're going to go that far, why don't you launch a PS5 with a larger hard drive? Like, I bought an external hard drive, right? When it's cool. I'm able to store my PS4 games on there. Also some PS5 games as well, but I can't play them off of there. But my thing is, if you're creating this new hard drive, this new console, this new version of the PS5, cool, but where are the games? Where are the games? That's what we need right now. We don't need just a new version of the PS5. And I know you're trying to get the console out there to as many fans and as many gamers as possible, but we need the games to support the system, not the system to support the games. It just doesn't work that way. And I don't know if Microsoft is going to get that, but we're going to see what they're going to actually be able to do with that. Now, one of the most interesting news topics that I want to discuss here is CD Projekt Red and the fact that they recently put out a job listing, and it looks like they're working on another IP. And they just went through what they went through with Cyberpunk 2077, and rightfully so. They got a lot of shit for that game. The amount of hype and what you got, whether you like it or not, the game didn't live up to the hype. Take it from me, I beat the game. Over, I would say 130 hours into the game. Did the complete story. I want to say I did the majority of the side missions. Had several different kind of relationships. Dealt with all the glitches. And even still booted up the game time and time again to experience the game. Again, the story was a pretty decent story. I can dig it. I can get behind it. I wouldn't be surprised that story isn't turned into a movie. and it would make for a pretty good movie. But my thing is now with the history that they have, and I'm not talking about The Witcher 3: The Wild Hunt, because let's not front and keep it real here. The Witcher 3: The Wild Hunt even had issues with it when that even came out. They patched that through. It wasn't as bad as Project CD Projekt Red's Cyberpunk 2077, and they're still patching that through. And we don't even know when that's going to be completely dealt with, far as correcting that game and righting the wrong and removing that horrible taste that was left in consumers' mouth. They got a lot of pre-orders, y'all, from that game. And if we're going to speak honestly and fair here, they got a lot of money before that game was even out. Upfront money. And I think it wasn't deserved. And I think gamers now, if you're smart, if you're not one of them Gen Z motherfuckers, if you're smart, you're not going to spend your money on a game that you haven't seen playing, right? You see how, what they did with what? Horizon Forbidden West. They showed you gameplay, what you're going to actually be doing, what the shit look like running in real engine, real time. If the developer isn't giving you any kind of experience like that, if the developer isn't giving you what you saw with Ratchet and Clank a couple of weeks ago, a real deep dive into the actual game running live, don't pre-order that. And you can burn me once, you're not going to burn me twice. I don't see, to be quite honest, guys, and maybe I may be a bit pessimistic here, I don't see Cyberpunk 2077 far as them CD Projekt Red fixing everything and just smoothing that game out to the way it need to be smoothed out. How Hello Games did No Man's Sky. I don't see them supporting that game like that. They already moved on to their new IP, and I don't even know what the hell their new IP is going to be. Is it going to be The Witcher 4? Possibly. Who knows? More likely than not, their next IP ain't coming out in the next 5 to 6 years. We ain't seeing that shit maybe to the middle generation of the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. So don't look forward to that game anytime soon. But my thing is, at the end of the day, do you trust CD Projekt Red? Allegedly, they're supposed to be losing money now because they got all this negative publicity. And again, as a consumer, as a gamer, I don't care. I don't feel bad. You put out inferior product. You stained, your legacy. And not that you can't right the ship, but you got to deal with this storm. You flown your plane into this storm here. And for the life of me, I just don't get why gamers and gaming companies and these large platforms come out here and try to make every excuse in the book to defend these guys and for people not to have a reason why they should have an issue with them. No, they laid their egg in the wrong nest, and now they got to deal with it. Every other company got to deal with it. Just because you love CD Projekt Red or you love a particular industry or love a particular company or game, and they come out and lay a goose egg, we can't be skeptical about their next follow-up? Well, that's not how this works here. What kind of gamer are you? I'm consumer first. I'm not industry first. I'm not in the industry. I'm a gamer that covers gaming on YouTube. I don't get nothing shipped to me for free. And maybe if I get something shipped to me for free, maybe we can talk. But until then, I'm going to call it as I see it. I'm going to call it right down the line. And that's being 100 and honest here. Unbought opinion, unbiased opinion. And I think that it's important that we hold these companies to the fire and we make sure we hold them accountable. I don't want to play another half completed game that feels like it needed another 2 years to be completed. And then you rush and you put it out and you say it's a done game. You wouldn't put it out if it wasn't ready. I don't believe any company that says that. Sorry. And it's unfortunate that CD Projekt Red ruined that grace period or that grace that a lot of you companies might have been afforded prior to Cyberpunk 2077 coming out. But again, that's not my problem to worry about. They got a proven show now. They're like a brand new independent company back on the market now. Hell, we gave Hello Games so much shit with No Man's Skies. At least I did. I know I did. I was a day one purchaser of that game. That game had hype to hell. They was hyping that game in hell. And I was hyping it too. Everything they were saying you're going to do in that game, I was like, yeah, buddy, this is going to be the game for me. Same thing with Destiny. They gave Bungie hell when Destiny first came out. And I bought that too. Actually, I remember I bought a copy for myself. And I also bought a copy for another YouTuber that was a friend of mine. And, he didn't have the resources to get it. And I bought myself a copy, and I bought him a copy. And I also was playing the demo up until that point. And then I got that bad boy home, booted it up, put it in, loaded it up, started the game out. That shit started off just how the demo started off. I said, ain't this a bitch? I said, y'all basically had us playing the game in the goddamn demo mode, and we just didn't even know it. So I'll be damned if I sit here and give a company that burned me once already some pre-ordered dollars, some pre-ordered money that I had to work hard for, and then when I give them the money, they give me a product that's half done, and then tell me just hold on, I'll fix it in a couple of months. That's like you going to McDonald's, ordering you a double cheeseburger with pickles and cheese, and you get the burger, it has no pickles, it has no cheese, and they're like, yo, just park in the front. We'll come out with the cheese and we'll come out with the pickles in a second. Who gonna show up there again when they hungry looking for a burger? Not me. So I just don't get how these companies just get to come out here and cap and say whatever they want, and nobody gets to question them. Nobody gets to question them. We got these companies that we look up to, these industry companies and industry platforms on YouTube that have been around for ages now. And they rotate these different talking heads in and out whenever they want. And they don't speak honestly and true. And regardless of what the company does, they don't address it with any real seriousness. They they always find a way to justify whatever the company has done. And you, the consumer, you shouldn't have an issue with it. It's the same issue that I have with these type of companies saying, well, you shouldn't have an issue with Sony games, or at least a couple of their single-player story games now being able to be played on PC. Like, you shouldn't feel that those games should be exclusive to the Sony platform. Like, you didn't invest your goddamn money, your time and effort to earning that money at your job, then going to buy the console to support that platform, buying the games for it, only to find out you allowing that game to be played on another platform by other people who have not contributed into that ecosystem as much as you have. That don't make no sense to me. That don't make no sense to me, not one bit. But people really expect you to do that. And I just cannot get behind that. I just don't respect it. But a lot of people want to be a part of the industry, want to be in the in crowd, want to be an influencer. And I understand, sometimes you got to take one for the team. Sometimes you got to just roll with the punches. And I can't roll with the punches. That's the problem with me. I'm always one that's going to speak up and tell you how it is and tell you the truth. Old games still being played on new consoles. How does that work, Sway? Somebody got to make that work for me still. Are we content with that? Are we going to content with the lies that we continuously hear from Sony as it continuously lies to its fans about generations? Like Ratchet and Clank is supposed to hold us over? Like, come on, guys. I mean, it's just getting to the point where, whether it's a timed exclusive, whether it's an exclusive, if it's on the platform, it should remain on the platform, period. That's just how I personally feel. I don't want to hear any goddamn PS4, PS5 differences and comparisons to next-gen games. Like that's just supposed to mean something to me. Like they did a comparison of what possibly Horizon Forbidden West may look like on a PS4 and a PS5. So what is that supposed to do for somebody that got a PS5, and what that's supposed to do for somebody that got a PS4? You can't tell the difference on YouTube, what the differences really are. The frames per second, the quality. You got to see that shit on a 4K rendered TV that can support 60 frames per second. So in all reality, we're never going to really see the full potential of these games on a goddamn tablet, on a phone, and especially on YouTube because it compresses everything. So you're not really actually seeing anything until you go home and play it yourself. And I think at the end of the day, man, we just got to move away from what doesn't matter and move towards what matters. What matters is the game. What matters is that the consumers are content. What matters is that these developers and companies deliver on what they promise. Period. Nothing less. Don't accept anything less. You don't have to accept anything less. Whatever they say they're going to do, hold them accountable to doing this shit. And if they don't do it, call them out on it. Period, like that. You don't got to go in the DMs and disrespect them and tell them you wish they get raped or beaten or slaughtered or killed. You don't got to do any of that. Just do what I just told you to do. Hold them accountable, and if they don't perform, get your refund back, and just don't support the company anymore. They'll straighten up and they'll fly right once you start giving your money to a company that gives a damn. That's just how it works. And I wish more people thought like that.